Jay. I'm gonna go over the products I'm gonna be using to do this breastplate and let you know everything I'm doing step by step, all of it. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn around and let you guys see what I'm doing right now. So right now this is the, I'm gonna get a light over here. This is the clean breastplate. I got it all done, all the root beers off of it. It's just got the Aztec gold and that's it. So the result is sort of get it like this. You know, it's gonna have its own effect, own different style, but it's sort of just to give it a you know, like a worn look. The helmet I have here is done everything but the clear. The final clear was gonna go on tonight. So you can see I got the blood splatter and an angle across here. And how I use that is I use one of these number 8 Kafkas, and I put a little bit of my blood red, part of the Candy O2 from Cretex, and I dip it inside a little container. In fact, I'll show you right here. In fact, Alpha 6 makes these, or they sell these, they don't make these. Put a little bit inside there, dip it in, and then I just angle it wherever I want to put it. And then for the drip, I get a little bit heavier, and I just sort of like let the brush just dab and drip on its own to give its own little blood effect. Stencils I'll be using are from Gerald Mendez. I got the regular FX, and I'm using 2 different stencils, and then I got the mini, which I'm going to be using all 3 of those as I need in order to get my desired effect. Colors I'll be using from Cretex are going to be Dirt Track Brown, excuse me, and Grabber Orange. Now those are going to be my 2 main colors, and then I'll just mix them to this desired amount to get my color that I'm looking for. Now the black is sort of like a darker toner to it, so when I want to darken these things up, I just put a drop, very, very little you want to put a black inside there. You just want to get 1 drop at a time until you get your desired darkness. Again, I'm using for the blood red. I'll be using the 412 reducer, or sorry, 4012 reducer, and then the 4004 transparent base for the candy. This gun right here is going to be my Wada Ness LPH80. I'll be using that to do the final clear coat on everything I need to do. The guns I'll be using for the project is going to be my HPCS. It's going to be the Iwata Eclipse, and then my CMC Iwata Micron. This one I'm going to just be using for the fun little last details. This is going to be the workhorse of the whole project. It puts out a lot more paint, and it just makes it a little bit easier when I'm dealing with a larger scale of trying to put a pattern down with these. Because what I'll just be doing is I'll be spraying with 2 hands and then sort of like wiggling this around and spraying with the other one, so that way it gets sort of a stacked look and not just a hard stencil. I also have 2 other items. The shoulder pads are already pre-done. They're sitting there. I'll show you when I go to do the clear, but that should be the effect that we're going for. So I'm going to go ahead and start moving this stuff out of the way. I'm going to go through the entire process with you guys of what I do and how I do it, and you'll see the whole thing, how I mix it, all of it. All right. So you guys know, for the lighting, I am using just some standard just LED tube lighting. I'm using 2 of them, gives more than enough light. Then I have one of these with a, what do you call it? Magnified glass, so I can actually see detail of what I need to see. If I get too much paint going, I use my my RZ mask. Thing works great. It's got a carbon filter inside of it. Works perfect for that kind of stuff. So what I'll be doing here is, move this where you can see it. I'm going to be using a couple drops of the reducer right at the bottom. Normally don't use the cap. I'm not going to take the tip off because I'm not going to be doing any fine micro lines or anything like that. I'm just going to be spraying off the stencil. Use a little bit of, you can see inside there, that's how much I used. And then a transparent. See if you can see that. There you go. Start with a grabber orange. I'm gonna do about 3 drops there, and then my dirt tack brown. Did about 2 drops of that because it's really dark. Just use a standard cheap brush. I just go through and I mix it, get my desired mix to make sure that it's all mixed together, all blended well. I just use this just in case, because it's going to be laying flat for me. So. Forgetting that it is candy, so I may have to take the tip off just to prevent clogs and tip dry. So I got like an auburn color there. I'm gonna try that for right now, see how it works out, and then go from there. Start with the bigger stencil, come down to the side, lightly just spray over it, change the stencil side. Now when I'm coming up into these things, I'm going to try to stay in between these. I don't want too much candy on the actual abs at all. I want those things to actually be brighter than the rest of it, so it's sort of like giving it a shadow effect on the inside. I'm going to switch over to this stencil right here. Now again, remember, this is just my first coat of this stuff. This is just sort of just get it hinted. I'm not trying to pour it on real heavy, it's just very, very light. I'm going to move over to one of my smaller ones, just a square one. Again, you don't have to follow any of these things exactly. It's just the idea of what I'm just using to try to get the effect. Alrighty. So, as you can see here, a little bit of just tint to it. So then what I'll do is I'm going to hit inside these things. I'm just gonna like double actioning, where you sit there with your little back. I'm doing is just going in between the lines, nothing special. I'm not double actioning, I'm just, well, I'm doing a longer double action is what I'm doing. That way it's not all spotty. Back to the shorter double action. Longer. Shorter inside here because I just want to spot it. Spotting it, double action. Longer double action. So I want to go light on my first coat. I don't want to get it super dark because I'm going to be coming in with a darker. I'm going to drop some black in this. This is just to sort of give it a little bit of color, make it a little bit different. Some dust or something on it. Alright, so I got something right there. So I'm going to not put anything there. I'm going to come back and I'm going to clean that here in a second. Alright, let's put this back over. Start doing some more stencil work. Now, the stencil work I'm doing is going to be on the inside of these. I'm not going out and doing stencil work on the outside of any of the main parts of the app. I'm just going to try to keep it all inside there, and right now I'm just putting the light. Switch over to this one, that way it's a little bit easier to get in the crevices. Now make sure when you're doing it, you're moving it back and forth. So right here I'm like, and it gives it a stacked effect. Sort of moving it as you spray. I'm going to stay away from these areas right here. They make those a little bit brighter since they're coming up towards the neck. So a very light coat around the top of this. Just a little bit of the ring. Now I'm not going onto this, I'm staying onto this. I'll move this over where you guys can see what I'm doing a little better. Sorry, eventually I'll get it stand. There we go. Now you can see exactly what I'm doing.